Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's the Consequential Runner here, and joining us again is Coach Mark, who will be sharing with us some really good insights. Coach Mark, welcome back.
Yeah, hi Darcy. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm going great, and all the better to have you here because I've got something big for you today, and that is plyometric training. I want to get your view on plyometrics. Now, most of us as runners, we've got a pretty full calendar in terms of how we train, going to the gym, our races that are coming up. So, and personal life, and so I think for some of us, we hear about plyometrics and we think, gosh, is it something that's really worth trying to sort of shoehorn into our program? Or is it something that's a little bit peripheral and we should just leave to the leads? I don't know, but let's start with the basics. Why would we do plyometrics? So, Coach Mark, over to you to tell us a little bit about plyometrics training and when we might consider building it into our program.
Yeah. Well, the basic reason for doing plyometrics applies to why the two basic components of running pace, and that's our cadence, which we've spoken about in a previous video, and stride length. So what plyometrics addresses is your stride length. The stride length isn't about doing sort of bounding, reaching forward strides. It's about having spring in your ankles, leg drive behind you, and lifting the knee. So you increase all of those by a tiny amount, then your stride length will increase a little bit. Keep your cadence the same, you're going to run faster. So that's really where plyometrics comes in. And it's really exercises that involve springing, bounding, jumping, skipping, those types of things.
Perfect. You've actually got me excited thinking about that because you're right, Coach Mark. We did a video on cadence. And since then, my cadence has improved by simply focusing on it and a few tips you shared with us in that video. But yeah, the other component is stride length. And what I noticed is I wasn't pushing with my foot off the pavement with as much power as I thought maybe I should. And because I had my cadence now down packed, I thought the natural next step would be, okay, how do we push off, or how do we kick off and get that stride length to start to really pay dividends? Where to from here, Coach Mark? Is it a case of getting a couple of tips from you in terms of what we can do? Because you've sold me on it. What we can do plyometrically? Is there something we can do at home as opposed to having to go to the gym? Is there one event that will give us the biggest benefit, but isn't too risky in terms of injury or something like that? Where do you think we should start then if we're thinking about plyometrics?
Yes, well, that is the thing about plyometrics. It is quite a risky thing to do because you are doing exaggerated jumping and springing, and so your body needs to be fairly well prepared to do that. So generally, you need to have been just doing running for at least 6 months, let's say, or regular running. So that's the first thing. You don't want to go straight into doing plyometrics. Used to be Arthur Lydiard always included it as a block. So he would have a endurance-based phase, and then he'd have a plyometric phase. And he would use a hill. So a hill is the best way to do plyometrics for a runner because it's, specific to running. And that's basically running up a hill or springing up a hill or bounding up a hill in an exaggerated fashion. Now, again, that's quite risky. So I take some sessions with a group on a Thursday night, and we do skipping up a hill. Skipping is a great plyometric exercise, and it's not risky because you're grounding one foot before you spring off the other foot. Right. Yeah, and that's been very effective in the athletes I take there. Just again, I get in the focus on height. So it's all about exaggerate as if you're skipping on the moon. So it's height, knee lift, spring off the ankles, straight leg at the back. So quite simple things. But you do that for a few weeks, and then that translates to your normal running speed. You'll find a bit of a difference. It's actually quite a good thing to do as a bridge from doing sort of longer, easier runs to then building into faster runs. It's like speed work in disguise in a little way.
So we're not doing plyometrics the whole year. It's in that phase between the long, easy runs and getting into your speed work. It's almost like a primer for your speed work. So we do it just in a block.
Yes, that's the most effective way of doing it. But you can actually build it into your year at odd times just by using it almost as a warm up, doing skipping in your warm up for your speed sessions. So that's where I build it, and that's why I encourage some people to include it into their training, because then you're not doing so much that you're overloading yourself. And that's the important thing, because it is, as I say, it is quite a risky thing to do. But by doing it, you get more bang for your buck, I think, doing that.
Okay, perfect. I think when we catch up with you, Coach Mark, or from my perspective, I'm always looking for just one or two takeaways. And I don't know if that's because I'm a pretty simple guy and I don't want too much to overload myself. So the takeaways I've got from this is, hey, if you're thinking about plyometrics, do, because there's benefits in it, especially for your stride length. That'll complement the cadence, which we, as you say, we've talked about in a previous video. Make sure, though, you've got a base of running for at least 6 months if you're new to running before you get into plyometrics. And probably, and I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, I suppose, but you're going to get more benefits in those first 6 months just running. So get that base level done. And then if you were to start with something nice and simple, think about just skipping up a hill. And every time you land and you do your skip, just become a little bit more explosive each time, looking for height. So you're not sort of running up the hill now, you're sort of bounding up a hill. Take it easy, but yeah, look at doing something like that. So in terms of bite-sized chunks, 6 months of running, once you've got that under your belt, look at doing a bit of hill work, and the way you're doing hill work and building in plyometrics is bounding up it. Would that be your basic level takeaway, Coach Mark, or have I missed something?
No, it would, yeah, and it's very effective if after doing the skipping up a hills, for example, you then do some runs in normal running form up a hill or running on the flat. So then you actually use that extra bounce and spring and just apply it to doing some stride outs, either up the hill or on the flat.
On the okay, up the hill or on the flat, either way. Okay, that makes
wherever you are, it doesn't matter too much.
All right, perfect. And Coach Mark, you sometimes see me do this. I make a note when you've talked about something, which I think can be a subject matter we're going to cover in a future video. And one is hill repeats. I want to get some more from you in terms of what we might do with hill repeats.
Yes.
So anyone watching the video, if you want to stay in the loop and especially come across the hill repeats video, you know what to do. Hit subscribe and you get that notification when these videos come through. Helps us too. Gives us a little bit of love. Alternatively, hit the like button if it's your way of saying, hey, thanks, I got something from the video. Every time you hit like, we know we're talking about the right sort of stuff. So it's a free vote for you, and that's really handy. Otherwise, we're going to wrap here. You know the format, which is short, sharp videos giving you a nutritionally rich piece of information really fast. So I'm going to say goodbye, Coach Mark.
Yeah, goodbye. Good speaking to you.
Cheers for joining us, crew. Just before I actually wrap, Coach Mark, if Coach Mark is available to help and offer you information, I think you've got a couple of places left, maybe, Coach Mark, that you can have as people that you can help train. Coach Mark's details, and I'll put them in the comments and also in the show description, the video description. So just click on that and you can get Coach Mark's email address. All right, there we go. Shout out for you, Coach Mark. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much. See you in the next one.
Thank you. See you, Bob.